The mob surging through an airport in Russia this weekend, searching for Jewish passengers on a flight from Israel, is the latest example of rising anti-Semitism globally. And here in the U.S., fears are also rising among Jewish Americans as reports of anti-Semitic incidents have increased since the start of the Israel-Hamas war. In response, the White House is unveiling new plans to combat anti-Semitic attacks at schools and college campuses. White House correspondent Laura Barone-Lopez joins us now for more. Laura, good to see you.
Good to be here.
As we've reported, anti-Semitism has been on the rise even before that October 7th Hamas attack that killed 1,400 Israelis. Reports of it since then have been increasing. You talked to some experts about this. What are they saying? Where are we seeing this?
So to start off, Amna, the FBI released, as you noted, annual hate crime statistics earlier this month, and it showed that between 2021 and 2022, anti-Semitic hate crimes rose 36%, and anti-Semitism accounted for over half of all reported religious-based hate crimes. But in recent days, since the start of the Israel-Hamas war, there have been multiple incidents that anti-hate groups are very concerned about. Namely, this past weekend at Cornell University, police had to be stationed outside of the Center for Jewish Living because of posts online that threaten Jewish students, specifically saying that they should be shot, calling Jewish students pigs, and the threats were referred to the FBI and condemned forcefully by Cornell's president. In addition to that, George Washington University saw some broadcasting of anti-Semitic statements from the river to the sea on the side of buildings, and then most recently in Montauk, New York, police are investigating swastika graffiti.
So the White House has unveiled a new plan today. They say will combat this rise in anti-Semitic incidents we're seeing. What does the plan entail?
So a White House official said today that this is in response to, quote, alarming rise of anti-Semitic incidents across campuses. And so what this action does is it directs the Justice Department and the DHS to partner with campus law enforcement to work with them, help track hate-related rhetoric across campuses. DHS, Homeland Security, cybersecurity experts specifically will be helping schools monitor an increase of not just the rhetoric, but also potential threats. And then administration officials are meeting with Jewish American groups today and Jewish students later this week. Now, we should note, Amna, that these tools can also be used for other hate rhetoric that we're seeing, including against Arabs and Muslims on campuses.
So as we know, the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, has been tracking this for years, right? Also liaising with communities, Jewish communities here in America and abroad. You spoke to some folks from the ADL. What do they tell you about what they're seeing right now?
I spoke to Oren Siegel, who's the vice president for ADL's Center on Extremism, and he gave us an update on the number of anti-Semitic incidents that are being reported to the group.
We've been tracking a nearly 400% increase in anti-Semitic incidents being reported to us. That's vandalism, harassment, and assault. And that's in comparison to the same time frame the previous year. The Jewish community feels vulnerable right now.
That same sentiment is something that the CEO of the National Council of Jewish Women, Sheila Katz, reiterated to me. She said that when she posted on X, also known as Twitter, that Jews aren't feeling safe right now, that she was met with vitriol, that she actually received threats of assault and rape directed at her. She met with Second Gentleman Douglas Emhoff today, as well as Secretary of Education Cardona, and she told them that she feels as though they're witnessing the normalization of anti-Semitism. She said that everyone at the meeting, including those administration officials, felt as though what we're seeing right now is something that has never been seen before in terms of anti-Semitism in the United States.
I want to underscore something you reported earlier on the message that was projected at George Washington University. Also, this chant we have seen resurface at some protests from the river to the sea. That's essentially calling for the eradication of the state of Israel. What do the experts who are tracking this tell you about seeing that out in public in this way?
So some of them say that, of course, this is people taking advantage of the Middle East conflict to spread anti-Semitism, but they also attribute this, especially Oren Siegel, to a lack of education.
What really troubles me, and I spend a lot of time in dark spaces, is when people don't even recognize what anti-Semitism is, when they don't even understand or recognize how one is supporting a violent terrorist organization. To me, that's why it's critical to have education because clearly what we're seeing on college campuses is telling us it's needed.
I also spoke to a research analyst with the Southern Poverty Law Center, Alon Milwicki, and he said that he's tracking a sharp increase in anti-Semitism, anti-Semitic incidents. He says seeing swastikas is something that unfortunately is common, but the difference now is that we're seeing more and more of swatting against synagogues and against other Jewish institutions. Swatting is bomb threats being called into these institutions. And he also gave this very striking example, Amna, where he said that he's taught history for years at universities. And he also said that a lack of knowledge about the Holocaust is what he thinks contributes to anti-Semitism, that when he would ask students whether or not they had ever heard of Auschwitz, which is, of course, we know was the largest extermination concentration camps during the Holocaust, and only a handful would raise their hands. So this is something that, of course, we're going to continue tracking, but again, he attributed it to a failure in the education system and not necessarily to these students specifically.
Laura Barone Lopez, our White House correspondent, thank you for this
Thank you.
important reporting.